5, 6, 7, and we are live. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Thomas James, and welcome to an episode of Sound Booth Theater Live. That's right, the show where we read things live to you over the interwebs. And unfortunately, Jeff Hayes was going to be narrating tonight, but well, no, not unfortunately that he was going to be narrating. It's unfortunate that he isn't able to make it. He isn't able to do it. He tried earlier, and just the connection in Hawaii is not good enough, or at least where he was in Hawaii. We should start a campaign that says, get Hawaii better internet. I think that would be a very altruistic thing for us to do. We could raise hundreds of cents. Yeah, so anyways, I'm going to be doing some reading. If you are joining from the Facebook Sound Booth Theater group, welcome. It's good to have you. We have a Discord chat going over at Sound Booth Theater Square. You can find the Discord chat in the comments. No, not in the comments, in the description below. My goodness. I can't get it straight today. Yeah, so in the description, you'll see a chat link, and I'm just going to make sure that works because... Okay, bear with me 1 second. I'm opening a YouTube video. There we go. So if you click on that, you should be taken to Discord, to the Discord chat. Yeah, okay. So that's where one chat is happening. If you want to just chill and chat in the YouTube chat, oh, hello. You're welcome to do that. So I see in the YouTube chat, why don't we just chat in YouTube today? We don't need to worry about Discord. But if you are here from Invictus, welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm going to do a little post in Invictus right now just to invite a few people over. Bear with me. I wish I could multitask. See, you hear that the taping has stopped now that I'm talking. I can't do both at the same time. I've got one stream of thought. I don't know if that's a guy thing, Sin. I feel like if I was a woman, I'd be able to handle this, but I'm not. So, 1 second. There we go. And I'm a slow typer, so then that kind of compounds into nonsense. Okay, so we got 8 people watching. Welcome to this stream. Thank you very much for joining. Again, my name is Justin Thomas James, narrator with Sound Booth Theater. We've got who do we have here? We've got Sin. Sin is our wonderful proofer, editor, excellent human being extraordinaire. She is the glue that keeps Sound Booth Theater together. So thank you for being here, Sin. It's always nice to see you. We've got Adam K. We've got Dark Favor. I remember you from the Discord. Oh, we've got Brianna. Hello. Brianna is a friend from Invictus. So welcome to the Sound Booth Theater. Oh, Michael and Brianna. Excellent. Oh, we got Bjorn. Bjorn. So great to see you. I love this. I love seeing worlds collide when wonderful people join together under the same roof and then interact, and then we create new memories together with the whole new thing, and it's all a wonderful little happening. And howdy, other chatters. Yes, say hello if you're lurking in the chat, and yeah, you haven't said hello, please say hello. like and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll be reminding people as we get new joiners or whatever. If people discover us, I'll be reminding everybody to subscribe because we do this sort of thing quite a bit. Jeff Hayes is often narrating Sound Booth Theater requests, where he does a poll. Is it a weekly poll? A couple times, maybe once a month, a couple times a month, he'll be doing a poll to see what like lit RPG series people want him to read. And he does, you know, 2 or 3 different narrations on a stream. He's a really funny guy and he's a fantastic narrator. So definitely worth checking him out when he's narrating. And then I'm also going to be narrating a lot more moving into the new year. You might say that it's one of my resolutions. Yeah, you guys have that to look forward to if you subscribe. Who else we have? We have Benzeme. That is a play on the word, or I guess it's benzyme because it's a play on enzyme. Hello, Ben. Welcome. Have you been a member of Sound Booth Theater for a while? Did you find us through Sound Booth Theater or through Invictus? That's what I want to know. If this is what happens when worlds collide, Power Man 5000 really got it wrong in their music video, but you prefer it this way. I don't know the music video. Is that bad? Should I know? Let's see. I'm going to look it up quickly. Power Man 5000. Oh, looks very 90s. How does this song go? Oh, yeah. Yep. I know that one. Oh, wow. So I'm the bald guy in the chair with nails sticking out of my head. That's me. Wow. This is pretty intense. I'm digging this. Was this for a movie? Was this like on the soundtrack for a particular movie? Oh boy, where am I? I'm supposed to be reading things. Been around for a month or 2. Oh, great. Well, glad to meet you. I don't think I have yet. What is Invictus? Okay, so Invictus is a role-playing group that I'm a part of. Every Wednesday night for the past 4 years, myself and a few friends of mine, Harlan Guthrie, Chris Viso, Joe Fallick, Mike Barber, and David Wiseman. Not all together at the same time, but we would get together and we'd play role-playing games, which is, I know for many of you Sound Booth Theater people, you're into like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that as well. So there's kind of common ground there, I believe. Anyways, we'd play role-playing games, and Harlan wanted to stream it when we first started, and so we tried it, and the rest is history. We've got over 1,000 followers on Facebook now, which is amazing. And we've also, I think we're up to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is extremely exciting. And this year we're going to be doing some more campaigns. So we're going to be playing some Call of Cthulhu and some Dungeons and Dragons. And yeah, it's a really cool stream. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you are into watching or listening to live streams like Critical Role or what are some other ones? Not the Nerdcast. What is it? There's a Star Wars one. Something role-playing. I don't remember. There's a bunch of RPG playing streams. But if you're into that, check out the Invictus stream, because there's a lot of content there for you. Oh, yes. Brianna and Michael recommend Scooby-Doo and the Call of Cthulhu. That one's one of my favorites as well. Just a one-shot that we did. But if you like Cthulhu, then it's a fun play on it, I would say. Okay, great. So I believe that it is time for me to read something. Quick show of hands. We've got 3 options today. Maybe 4. I might do a little bit of lit RPG if you guys want to hear it. I've got a short story by Harlan Guthrie that I'll be getting to. I've got a short story by H.P. Lovecraft, which I don't know how creepy it is. I haven't read it myself. It's called Dagon. But I picked it because I've got it in a book here, and I wanted to read from an actual book today. So I'm going to be doing this. Well, it's only a short one. It's only like 6 pages long. And then also I've got a short story by Peter de Niverville, and it's called The Petting Zoo. I always want to call it Pet Cemetery, but it is not that. So yeah, which one do you guys want to hear first? We're going to do a loose poll, and whichever resonates with me, I will go with. Okay, let me just catch up with some comments here. Yes, what is Invictus? Explain that. Your question exactly. Lag. Oh, right, yeah. Yes, and that's the role-playing group that I've got to get to every Wednesday. Jazz hands. 90 songs, Scooby-Doo. Fantastic RPG players. Thank you, Bjorn. Been watching them for 2 years now, and they really make Wednesday nights beautiful. Oh, you play D&D, Adam? HP Lovecraft. Okay. You will not have your revenge. Get out of here, Jeff. Get out. That's you. Everybody, shoo him out. Shoo him out the door. We don't want your kind here. We don't want your kind. People who speak and type in all caps locks. We don't need you around in your big capital letters. Get out of here, Jeff Hayes. Jeff always yells. Yeah. That's how he does this stream. Hello, Buddha Cat. Welcome, welcome. Are you, I'm guessing you're from the Sound Booth group? Did you actually just get married, Dark Favor? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Did you just get married, Dark Favor? Are you joking? Do I have In the Vault? I do not have In the Vault, Brianna. Is it public domain? If it is, then I could probably get it. But if it's not, then I can get it for a future stream. But I would have to contact the author and just check with them to make sure it's cool if I read it. Wow. Okay, well, you're kidding. It's very easy to be gullible over the internet because I know nothing. I was like, you got married? You got married in Vegas? Then what the hell is this? What the hell is this? This promise you made to me, Dark Favor. God. Sometimes I just want to read a book. Sometimes don't you just want to read a book? You're so mad you could just read a book. It's also Lovecraft. Let's see. In the Vault. In the Vault, it says. I do not have In the Vault, but I'm sure I can find it. Yeah, if there's time to do that at the end, maybe I will read it. Okay, so we're about 15 minutes into this stream. I think it is time to start. Oh boy, we've got 10 people watching and only 5 likes. That's a 50% rating according to statistics. Like the video. Don't forget to do that. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you are into this sort of thing, if you're enjoying narration. I'm going to be trying this whole time. If you're not sure about subscribing to this YouTube channel, and you haven't yet, it's my job tonight to seduce you into clicking subscribe. I want to get you to the point where you cannot stand living anymore unless you subscribe to this channel. You're just like, oh, I can't take it anymore. Subscribe. Oh, I can breathe again. I want this channel to become oxygen for you. Okay? That's what this is going to be. You're going to be so addicted to hearing the sound of mine and Jeff Hayes' voice, and also the treats of Miss Annie Ellicott and Lori Catherine Winkle and Harmon Cooper, and sometimes Sin comes on and she graces us with her voice. And you guys, it's gonna be great. Okay, it's gonna be great. So yeah, holy, look at that. We got 9 people watching now and we got 8 likes, and I'm one of those people. So you guys are fantastic. Thank you very much for doing that. Let's see. I want to do a drinking challenge. Yes, so we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which means that if we do that, then we all get to have a drinking game together where I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but we're going to live stream it. Myself, Jeff Hayes, I don't know, Sin, are you going to be there? We've got oh yeah, Lori Winkle, Annie Ellicott. I don't know if we're gonna get some of our new narrators out for that, but yeah, we're gonna play a drinking game. We're gonna get smash-ola'd. So let's see if we can make this happen. And you guys might enjoy that. I'm probably going to be drinking gin that night. I feel like I'm the most entertaining when I'm drinking gin. Only 13 more left until 1K. Holy moly. What if you're seduced and already subscribed? Unsubscribe and then resubscribe. That's the answer to everything. You just want to do a drinking game? Yeah. How can you not subscribe after a pitch like that? Thank you, Bjorn. You're addicted to Justin's voice, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yes, listen to me. Very possible. You'll be drinking coffee. Ooh. So we're just gonna get drunk, and then Sin's just gonna be bouncing off the walls hyper at the end. Drinking? Well, it is New Year's Eve. Yeah, I don't think we're doing it tomorrow. I wish we were doing it tomorrow. That would be kind of perfect. Because I actually don't have any New Year's Eve plans, if I'm completely honest. You love listening to us, guys. We make you laugh. Thank you, Adam. I'm glad that you laugh when you watch me and listen to me. It's because I'm so ridiculous, isn't it? Huh? You just think you're so much better than me, don't you, Adam? With your shortened last name that's just a letter. K? What kind of a last name is K anyway? Single letter? Pfft, your ancestors were lazy. You would like to, but it depends on what time. You might have to pull away, pick up Arturo. I'll be doing shots of espresso. Wow. Wow, is a Lola. Espresso, you're crazy. Oh, well, Happy New Year's Eve, Benzyme. Dark Favor, I'm not talking to you. You know what you did. All right. Jeff Hayes wants me to narrate. Everybody from Invictus knows that Justin reads stuff is mostly Justin reading the comments. And then maybe, if we're lucky, we get to a couple actual voices. Yeah, hello, Sean. Yes, I did narrate Cherry Blossom Girls. Did you like it? Okay, here we go. I'm not going to look at the comments anymore. I'm just going to read things because Jeff Hayes started yelling in that very immature caps lock voice of his. So let's do this. All right. We're starting with Lovecraft. Oh, and actually, cool thing. I've got a little write-up here before the chapter, because this is the H.P. Lovecraft Goes to the Movies, classic short stories that inspired classic horror films. Yeah, so here's a little write-up on the short story, Dagon. Yes, Jeff is full of passion. Excuse me. Dagon. This story, Lovecraft's first professional fiction sale, was published in the October 1923 issue of the pulp magazine Weird Tales. The idea of a fish-like being worshipping an idol in whose image it may have been made is one that intrigued Lovecraft for the length of his career, and it partly inspired him to write his classic novella, The Shadow over Innsmouth, 8 years later. Stuart Gordon combined elements of both stories for his film Dagon in 2001. Has anybody here seen Dagon? I haven't, but let me know if you have. I'm writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since tonight I shall be no more. Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Squalid? Squalid? I don't know. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is I must have forgetfulness or death. It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider. The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation, so that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners. So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time. When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but a little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight. The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land. But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous. When at last I awakened, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished, for there was in the air and in the rotting soil of a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet. As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Though through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions which for innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, strain my ears as I might, nor were there any sea-fowl to prey upon the dead things. For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, And the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overload journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue. On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal. All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a far-away hummock which rose higher than any other elevation in the rolling desert. That night I encamped, and on the following day still traveled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it. By the fourth evening I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley set it out in a sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence. I have said that unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me, but I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illuminate. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined. Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of 100 feet, the declivity became very gradual. Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me, an object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon. That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself, but I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express, for despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith whose massive bulk had known the workmanship of perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of scientists or archaeologists alike, I examined my surroundings more closely. The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions, and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me, and unlike anything I had ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols, such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound. Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men. Through the creatures were shroon disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage to some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer, they were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seemed to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background, for one of the creatures was shewn in the act of killing a whale represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe, some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born. Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters. Vast, Polyphemus-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little. I believe I sang a great deal, and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm some time after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard peals of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital, brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing, nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe. Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist, and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god. But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries. It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all. Having written a full account for the information nor the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men. Often I ask myself if it could not have all been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This, I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down in their reeking talons the remnants of puny war-exhausted mankind, of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean floor shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium. The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense, slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me. God, that hand! The window! The window! Voila! There we go. 'Tis the end of Dagon. What do you guys think? Lovecraft's first published short story. Hey, Marvin Tanner. How you doing, bud? Welcome, welcome. Anything happened while I was reading? What is the appeal of Lovecraft? I want to talk about that because Lovecraft, like, he was a revolutionary in his time. And he definitely created stories that I think are still chilling today, but they're a slow burn. They really are. Like, I feel like, I wonder if I was reading this 100 years ago. Wow. I wonder what parts would have scared me. I felt like the highest point of fear in this was right close to the end, which I would say is the climax of him talking about like all of these creatures rising up and like bringing about the revelations or whatever, like bringing the end of the world. That's probably where the horror was for me. It definitely wasn't when he's describing the monster. I think there was like a paragraph of, yeah, I saw a scary monster and I ran away. I didn't find that all that chilling. Pretty evocative sometimes, and sometimes very boring and too long-winded. I would agree. But I think also, like, I wonder at the time whether or not it was long-winded, because I feel like now we're kind of not spoiled, but it's just kind of a sign of the times where we read stories that are written for people with less attention spans, I think, than back in the 1920s. I could be completely wrong there, but I feel like I've got a shorter attention span. Like, some of these sentences are very well crafted, but they kind of lose me halfway. And I felt myself like losing focus halfway through and just kind of reading words. And it was hard to pull myself back into the emotion of it. It is the huck. What do you mean by that? His purple prose can get a bit slow and pedantic, but his ability to show horrific things only by their effect on those experience them, that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. His effect on those experiencing them is timeless. I wonder that too. So this character, obviously, he saw the creature and he was freaked out by it. I think it's interesting that at one point he says, like, you know, people think I'm crazy. People think it's ridiculous that I'm reacting the way that I'm reacting. He doesn't say reacting the way that I'm reacting, but I kind of take it that way when you put it like that, Brianna. It's an interesting consideration. I would probably like to read it again with kind of a selfish perspective of the reader or of the narrator actually. I don't know. What am I trying to say that isn't like, oh, I'm going to read it like, you know, from the perspective of the narrator. That's kind of what we do all the time. But there's something about that. Horrific things only by their effects on those experiencing them. Yeah, I think I would try to tune in on more of the things he says about his own experience. It's interesting too. It does read like he is telling a story the whole time. Like you are in present day with him and he's telling this story, rather than like the beginning starts off, I need to tell you a tale, and then it goes into the past, and then it comes back, you know, to the present. There's a little bit of that, but it doesn't go very deep into the past. There's always this thread of presence, current day, that's going through that. And I've read that in different short stories. It's not my favorite of mine or of his for me. But it does kind of get me excited to play Call of Cthulhu. On the Mountains of Madness is a very good example of the horror predominantly seen through the effect of a narrator. Okay, I'll have to check that one out. On the Mountains of Madness is not in this book, unfortunately, but Shadow over Innsmouth is. Call of Cthulhu is. Dunwich Horror is. Statement of Randolph Carter is, but I never really... I'll have to read that one again. I don't remember that one. Color Out of Space was kind of cool. I like that one. All right. Moving on. Who's with us? Oh, wow. 12 viewers. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. Happy almost New Year, New Year's Eve. If you're just tuning in, my name is Justin Thomas James, and I am narrating here with Sound Booth Theater. We've got 11 people watching and 11 likes. That's fantastic. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't liked the video, please do. And if you haven't subscribed, I cordially invite you to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, some live requests by Jeff Hayes, and some other crazy stuff like us getting totally wasted if we reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of tomorrow. So we are 10 away right now. We are so close. So if you feel like you've got space on your YouTube feed for a bunch of humble narrators, then please subscribe and hang out with us again. All right, let's see here. What shall we do next? I believe I'm going to narrate some Harlan Guthrie. What is everybody doing tonight? I'm curious what everybody is, how everybody's spending their Sunday night, other than listening to me. I know there are a number of people who listen to Invictus, don't necessarily watch, who might be, you know, working in the background or doing housework or whatever. So yeah, what's up? What you got going on? I know Jeff's in Hawaii. You're actually watching me. Well, thank you very much. Monday, drinking. Oh yeah, you're in Australia, right? Drinking. But the question is, what are you drinking? I'm drinking classic Stella Artois. It is Belgian, from Anno 1366, which I believe is a video game. Dark Favor, you are on your way home from Vegas after getting married and crushing my heart. I don't know if I'll ever get over this. Ever. But maybe I will. But maybe I won't. I think that story had an effect on me. I think I'm losing sanity points. Has anyone here ever played Call of Cthulhu, like the role-playing game? Bjorn, you're just chilling before bed, almost 3 a.m., so this is a good way of preparing for sleep. Oh, well, thank you for tuning in so late. I'm supposed to be drinking an Ignorant Farmer. I know! That should be what I'm drinking. I'm sorry. I don't have any. I was supposed to get a 2-4 of it, and I left it at Harlan's, and it's all gone. I'm not going to point any fingers. Oh, shoot, I'm already pointing fingers. It was God, apparently. There was a certain members of the Invictus stream who like to drink those that belonged to me. But I don't mind, because I've drank probably at least a 2-4's worth of Harlan's beer. Let's see. Marvin Tanner, subbed but working until 5 a.m. UK time. Marvin, you've subscribed. Thank you very much. You're working until 5 a.m. UK time. Holy moly. Talk about a graveyard shift. Do you work in a graveyard? I hope you work in a graveyard. That would be cool. I don't think there's any cooler job than graveyard worker, because then you could be like working the day shift, but then you'd be saying that you're working the graveyard shift anytime someone asks what shift you're working, and it would be really not that funny, but you could say it and it would be true. New Hades. Hello, New Hades. Antonio? Is it Antonio? It's so hard to keep everybody straight in the different chats. There's the Discord group, and then you've got your little avatar pictures. And then you've got so now I remember what Antonio's avatar picture looks like. But now that we're in YouTube, it's a different picture, and I can't tell. Adam is drawing. What are you drawing, Adam? Wait, Adam. Yeah, Adam, you are from Sound Booth Theater. Anyways, In the Vault is about a grave digger. A grave digger. Gravekeeper. Cool. I don't know why grave digger was funny. I think I was thinking gold digger. But yeah. Yes, okay, you are from Sound Booth Theater. Okay, all right. You're drawing a dragon. Sick. All right, there's Jeff again. Okay. I'm trying to get to know people, all right? Fostering a sense of community and enjoying conversation, Jeff. My God. Stop micromanaging from Hawaii. But yes, I do want to get back to reading so that Bjorn can relax and settle down after a long day, because it's 3 a.m. where he is. The next story is by a fellow by the name of Harlan Guthrie. Some of you may know him. Team Red. I believe I've narrated this on a Justin Reed stuff before. It's one of my favorites of his. I think it's cool. And I think that this could have a lit RPG kind of, or at least game lit kind of flavor to it. And you'll know what I mean by the end there. But anyways, this is called The End Is Nigh by Harlan Guthrie. Emma and I sat on the edge of the building, our feet hanging over the edge with the crumbled city before us. She leaned over and spit playfully. 5 stories down, the wet glob smacked the head of one of the undead below, which then let out a weak moan. 10 points, she said, smiling towards me. I guess that makes us about even, yeah? I asked, half-jokingly. Yeah, no, I think that makes me the winner. She stood up and walked back towards the apartment's roof air conditioner, hopped onto it, and laid back with her face towards the now darkening sky. I stood up as well and walked over to her slowly. Her mood was heavier than before. And you're sure all the batteries are dead? She asked with a sort of desperate accusation. Emma, I pleaded. Fine. She hopped up again, unable to sit still, knowing what was to come. She walked about 10 feet until she was just before the edge of the roof and turned back to me. We could just jump off, end it now, save ourselves from whatever's coming. The horde below moaned a bit louder, or maybe they just seemed louder, as if they knew the subject of fresh meat had just come up. The streets below were stained with blood and dotted with entrails from the survivors long dead. I wondered how much blood had lined the streets, how ancient this city really was, how much death fell through the cracks and filled the cistern below the city. Was this even really a city? Really? Is that how you want this to go? After everything we've done, everything we've been through, to just give up like that? And what would even happen? Where would we go? What do you want to fucking do then? She shot back at me. I stood there dumbfounded. There was nothing we could do. This time there was no out, and she knew it. I had no idea what existed beyond the short distance I've traveled outside the city. Even if we managed to escape this nightfall, I had no idea where to go. This wasn't a sprawling world to be explored. This was an arena of death. Thought so, she quipped. I looked down at my feet, almost ashamed that I couldn't save us. Emma looked at me, and her expression immediately changed to one of compassion. I'm sorry. I know I'm not being fair. She sighed as she walked over to me. I just feel like my hands are tied, and it's frustrating and depressing all at the same time. I know, I said understandingly. I get it. I feel the same way. We still have a few flares. That'll keep them off for what? An hour? She asked. Maybe less. I sat down and set my head in my hands, hoping for some miracle solution that we hadn't thought of. Emma walked over, sat down beside me, and kissed my forehead. All right, let's just sit here together, she said softly. The horde began to stir and move around. The noises sounded less and less of this world. What world was this, anyway? I thought. Was this just for us? Or was this the same for everyone, regardless of what they did? Below, the grumble of the creatures began to grow louder in anticipation for their transformation come nightfall. Sounds like the kids are getting antsy, Emma said jokingly. We sat there watching the sun set for a long while. What happens when you die in hell? I asked. Emma sat with me, looking out over the darkening sky. Surrounding the sprawling destroyed city before us were pits of fire and brimstone. Molten metal filled the air with the faint scent of iron. The crimson clouds of hell dotted the sky, filling us with a constant sense of dread, waiting for the next time they drenched us in acid rain. We had been trapped in hell since our deaths, and though neither of us wanted to admit it, we both knew we deserved to spend our afterlife here. I only then realized that this was the first time I said the name hell out loud, and even saying it made me shake my head a bit. She thought on my question for a short time before answering. I don't know. Maybe this all starts over again? Maybe we go back to when we first died and have to start the game all over again. I remember 2 months ago waking up here. I thought it was a bad dream. Same. If that's true, you think we'll remember each other? I asked hopefully. Maybe this isn't the first time we've been here, she said, half joking. I looked down at the horde of monsters that filled the crumbled streets below us. The soulless undead were the ever-expanding army of hell, as each and every soul sent down here broke over and over again. When the mind breaks completely, all that's left is the husk of what was once human, now hungry for flesh and always in anticipation of the night when they could transform, allowing them to spread their wings and hunt. Then a dark thought dawned on us. Maybe we've been here before. Maybe our hell was to fight the creatures, live in fear and hide, forever in an endless loop as the ultimate prey. Justly so for what we did when we were alive. We looked at each other with concern, and Emma stood up quickly. Well, if we're doomed to repeat this again, let's make a note here on this roof so that we can find it again. Maybe work together faster or try harder or... Emma trailed off, trying to come up with some reason that made sense, tears starting to form in the corners of her eyes. I stood up as well and put my hand on her shoulder to stop her from pacing back and forth. I handed her a small piece of chalk. You're right. Let's write a message, I said with a pained smile. She looked at me, smiling with tears in her eyes, and took the piece of chalk from my hand. She wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. Okay, so where should we write the message? She asked with forced excitement. On the roof was a door leading into the building. It protruded from the roof and had 3 cement walls enclosing it. How about there? I gestured to the door. We can write it on one of the walls, and maybe we'll see it there next time. Emma smiled and began walking over. I turned to see the sun just about to go down. We better make it quick. The sun's about to set. Whoops, that's not her. We better make it quick. The sun's about to set, I said, turning towards Emma, who was facing the wall. Her face was white, as if all the color had drained from it in an instant. What's wrong? I asked, walking over. I stopped and stood next to her, looking at the cement wall she was to write our message on. There, written in Emma's own hand, was the heading, Emma and Dan, Days Survived. Underneath were hundreds of separate numbers. 5, 11, 145, 341, 2, 66. All signifying the numbers of days we had survived in the past. Emma turned to me. In the dying light, I could see the tears were back in her eyes and starting to roll down her cheeks. I leaned in and kissed her softly. Then I took the piece of chalk from her hand and turned to the wall. In large white letters, I wrote our number, 43, and dropped the chalk on the floor by our feet, which was riddled with other pieces of broken chalk. Below, the horde turned to the now set sun, and bits of flesh and sinew began falling to the floor as their transformations began. See you tomorrow, I said weakly, with a smile, as tears started to form in my eyes. She just laughed and hugged me tight as hundreds of blood-curdling screams echoed out over the night. The creatures took to the sky, filling the night with the sounds of their thrashing wings, and hunting calls which they cried out through broken teeth. We may be in the darkest place in the world, but we are each other's light. And that's it. The end. Yeah, so that New Hades asked, what book is this again? So that is from a book. Oh, well, it's a series of short stories that my friend Harlan Guthrie wrote. He wrote that one a while back. That's actually, so one of the very first iterances of the Invictus stream was me narrating things. That was when I was first starting to get interested in narrating. And this short story was maybe the very third thing that I ever narrated and posted on YouTube. If you go into the description, you'll find a link to Harlan Guthrie's what is it, WordPress page or whatever, where he's got a bunch of short stories. Yeah, and if you scroll down to short stories, this was when was this written? Yeah, February 5th, 2015. So yeah, if you check that out, like there's a bunch of short stories by him. It is too short, isn't it? And I personally would like to see more in this universe from him. I believe he wrote this when he was playing, I don't know if you guys kind of picked up on it, but when he was playing Dying Light. Have you ever played that game? Oh my god, I'm reading the comments. Who is Harlan Guthrie? I'm confused. There are other books not lit RPG. No, there aren't. This I actually think this one is kind of a lit RPG. People are saying no. I don't remember. What did I ask? Oh god, I don't. Oh my god, I need another sip of beer. I don't even remember what I asked. How are you supposed to survive playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate now? Ah, roped you in. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. You haven't finished it yourself. Oh, the game Dying Light. Right. Thank you. Yeah, so there are a few elements of Dying Light in it. The creatures turning more rabid after nightfall. Also, he mentions Dying Light in it, like he's like in the Dying Light, so and so and so. So I'm pretty sure he was inspired by Dying Light. But as for the lit RPG element or the game lit element, the ending, they even touch on it like, oh, is this a game? Like we keep on doing this again and again and again. That's kind of a cool concept for a book, I think, for a game lit. I don't know if that's ever been done. Where I've definitely read where lit RPG becomes heaven. Reboot is heaven or Afterlife Online. It's there in the title. And then also Alchemy Online is kind of an afterlife. That's how they end up using it, even though it was initially supposed to be just a game for fun and research. But what about a gamelet where it's hell, where people are uploaded into a virtual hell and being punished for their fucking sins? I imagine there's a lot of creativity in the lit RPG world. I am imagining that someone has thought of it already and is already doing that. But if you know, you lit RPG people, if you know of this story, let me know. I'd like to check it out. Okay. Well. I got one more short story for y'all. And I haven't read it. So this one is by a guy named Peter de Niverville. Which I don't know. I don't know who he is. I'd never heard of him before today. But he wrote a story called The Petting Zoo. Who is this Peter de Niverville person? Oh. He's current. But I believe his story is in the public domain. Ah, well. I'm going to read it. I found it online for on a legit website, so I'm thinking that it's public domain. Jeff Hayes, advise. Oh, Gestation. That's the Running Dead. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we've got a story on the Invictus stream in our role-playing game that we've run called The Running Dead, which basically is uploaded hell for people. Yeah, right. That's I came up with that. No, but in like a lit RPG form, I think it would be very different. Interesting. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, Gestation. It's an orphan boy who enters a game to enjoy some semblance of a game. He gets sent to hell by another player in some kind of twisted sacrifice. Oh, interesting. I'm going to look that up right now, and then I'm going to read The Petting Zoo. How you doing, Bjorn? Have you fallen asleep? Gestation. Dystopian lit RPG adventure. Oh, wow. I like the cover. Lit Hunters. Really great cover. Who did the audiobook? Oh, Jeff Holbrook. Cool. I've heard of him, I think. I've seen his name before. Very cool. Oh, Project Chrysalis. Someone was talking about Project Chrysalis a lot lately. Like there was a... Yeah, if you mix Sword Art Online and The Land and make them both darker, Project Chrysalis is what you get. Is this like a fresh release? Did this just come out? Oh, May 22nd, 2018. Well, cool. Yeah, I saw this scrolling down Facebook the other day. Oh, no, it looks like it's been around. I love the covers, though. These are fantastic. These are amazing covers. Wow. Oh, and this is .ca. That's why there's only one review. Station. There it is. Okay, all right. So it's not new. Hey, wow. Well, it's doing quite well, the audiobook. Very nice. Okay. Let's see. Where are we? Jeff must depart shortly. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Jeff. Thank you for yelling at me. I appreciate it. You know, that's how I like it. You're still here. Schedule has been pretty messed up now these days. Just enjoying the stories. Cool. Well, I'll be reading another one in 2 minutes. The whole book, he barely surviving the level of hell and using his system to take advantage of the fact that he can't level up. Through the series, his mind slowly breaks. Oh, interesting. Amazing reading. Kindle has all 4 books. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, guys, if you haven't already, check out Gestation by John Gold, who I believe is a Russian author, but then it was translated by Jared Firth. And the audiobook was produced by, or was narrated by Jeff Holbrook. And see if is that with Podium or something. I'm gonna give you guys all the info you can handle. Oh, so the audiobook just came out October 13th or December 13th. So yeah, check that out if that's something that interests you. A lit RPG that takes place in hell. Maybe a little bit of Dante's Inferno going on there. All right. Let us check out this other story. The Petting Zoo by Peter de Niverville. Sorry. I've got to turn down my volume on Facebook. There we go. All right. The Petting Zoo by Peter de Niverville. At first, Johnson thought it was a joke. Speeding down the country road with the crude sign was only a blur. But it was that one word. Slowing down, he swung the Lexus onto the paved shoulder. In the rearview mirror, he could see it clearly. Sorry, I'm laughing because if I had read the very first paragraph, I would have known that it wasn't like a public domain from Time, because there's a Lexus in it. I don't know if he's driving like a Lexus horse-drawn carriage. Anyways, in the rearview mirror, he could clearly see it. The sign was tacked to a stick that was stuck in the ground just beyond the paved shoulder. Shifting the powerful car into reverse, Johnson slammed the accelerator down. The tires squealed and loose gravel flew as he tore back up the road. Screeching to a halt, Johnson stared at the faded handwriting. Ellsworth's famous spider petting zoo. 5 miles, next right. Spiders fascinated Johnson. One summer, when he was 8, a large golden black spider had taken up residence underneath the shingles by the back door. Every morning, Johnson would gather up his ants in a jar from a nest in the scrubby woods behind his house. One by one, he would drop the wriggling insects into the web. With lightning speed, the spider would spring from her hiding place and race towards the victim. Sinking her fangs into the ant, she would retreat, waiting for the poison to take effect. When the ant slowly stopped struggling, she would climb back down and delicately wrap her prey in a white shroud. This continued until one day his mother caught him. "What a cruel little boy you are!" she scolded between clenched teeth as she pummeled his backside. He could still feel the shame of being spanked. Years later, in a rare moment of remorse, Johnson wondered what it was like for the ant. Trapped, helpless, waiting for the spider to return. Did they know fear or horror? Or was that something only humans experienced? The insect brain was too small, he told himself, or so he hoped. 5 miles, thought Johnson. The side trip might only add another half hour or so to his journey. He would still have time once he got to his motel to have a shower. The dinner meeting with the buyer from the supermarket chain wasn't until 6 o'clock, and it was only 4 now. Coasting forward, Johnson scanned the road, looking for the turnoff. About 100 yards ahead, he saw a lane that intersected with a highway. Flicking on his turn signal, he shot a quick glance at his watch. If I don't find it in 15 minutes, he promised himself, I'll turn back. Accelerating smoothly, he turned onto a well-paved secondary road with deep ditches on either side. Punching the buttons on the CD player, he stretched his arms, settling back into the soft leather seat. As the throbbing beat of Queen filled the Lexus, his mood lightened. An unexpected adventure in an otherwise boring day. Johnson hated his job. Endless meetings with bad food and balding buyers. Too many drinks and too many hangovers. He was packing on the pounds, too. I have to get back to the gym, he reminded himself. The only redeeming feature of his job was that he was good at it. Top sales rep for the last 3 years. I should have been an actor, he told himself. Instead, I'm selling toilet paper and tampons to these turkeys. As the needle on the speedometer crept higher and higher, the neatly kept fields and freshly painted houses became a blur. Mile after mile slipped by. Johnson felt that he and the car had become one, soaring along like a hawk on a summer breeze. But his mood soon soured. Condition of the road deteriorated. Asphalt gave way to chip seal, which gave way to gravel, and finally ended up as dirt. Johnson jumped on the brakes when a huge pothole emerged in the center of the road. Cursing the delay, he checked his watch again. It was almost 5. A long drive down the country road had dulled his sense of time. I better turn around, he cautioned himself. As he studied the road ahead, looking for a safe place to make a U-turn, he saw it. An old farmhouse set back from the road. If it hadn't been for the pothole, he would have missed it completely. By the mailbox, a freshly painted sign read, Ellsworth's Family Spider Petting Zoo. Open year-round. All visitors welcome. This must be the place, he concluded. Carefully turning up the heavily rutted lane, Johnson wondered what he would find. Perhaps one of the locals playing a joke on the tourists, he mused. Tall grass slapped at the bottom of the car, and rusted barbed wire clung to the rotted posts that ran along the lane. In the untilled fields, scrubby bushes had sprung up like mushrooms. Johnson tried to imagine what the farm looked like in better days, but it was impossible. When he reached the top of the hill, the farmhouse looked even more decrepit. Blistered paint hung from the wooden shingles, and there was a disturbing sag in the middle of the roof. What once had been the side garden was now occupied by tall thistles and a mass of tangled timbers indicating the former site of the main barn. Except for the glass still being intact in the windows, the house looked abandoned. Where is everybody? Thought Johnson. In response to his question, an old woman dressed in a black skirt and a woolen sweater stepped out of the side door. She was gnarled and withered like the lone apple tree that stood in the yard. Johnson guessed she must have been at least 70, maybe even 80 years old. What do you want? She spat. Turning off the CD player and rolling down the car window, he replied, Is this the petting zoo? That's what the sign says, don't it? Ignoring her rudeness, Johnson continued. Are you open? I'll get Jake. He out back chopping wood. He watched as she shuffled down a dirt path and disappeared around the corner of a house. Charming, thought Johnson. Opening the car door, he stepped out. Despite the poverty, the farm had a certain rustic appeal which reminded him of the house that he grew up in the country. But there was something odd, something missing. Where are the flies? Thought Johnson. On most farms, the low buzz of the black swarms was constant, but here there was none. Except for the moaning of the wind, it was quiet. Perhaps it was the lack of animals, he thought, or maybe it was the stiff breeze at the top of the hill that kept them at bay. Glancing at his watch, he frowned. It was after 5 o'clock. If he did not get back on the road soon, he'd be late for his appointment. Either that or skip his shower. After driving all day, Johnson did not want to skip something so No, Johnson did not want to skip the soothing ritual. Taking one last look around, he reached for the handle of the car door. Just then, the woman reappeared over and behind. Just then, the old woman reappeared, and behind her, an even more wizened-up old man wearing faded blue overalls and a nicotine-stained undershirt. Stopping at the corner of the house, the old man spat out a long jet of chewing tobacco on the ground. Wiping his mouth with the back of his hand, he paused momentarily to study Johnson. Speaking to the old woman, he said in a low tone, "Thought I heard a car coming up." "Wants to see your spiders," she said, before she turned away and went back into the farmhouse, letting the screen door slam shut behind her. "You want to see my spiders, young fella?" "Sure, if you're open. How much?" Looking over the Lexus, he scratched his ruddy face and said, $50. 50? That's ridiculous. Shrugging his shoulders, the old man said, "Take it or leave it. I got work to do." Then he spat out another long jet of chewing tobacco and turned to go. "I can't leave now after coming all this way," thought Johnson. Taking another quick glance at his watch, he said irritably, all right, but this better be good." The old man smirked and licked his lips as Johnson whipped out a crisp $50 bill from his wallet. Johnson did not like the old man's greedy look and hastily shoved his wallet back in his pants pocket. "Thanks," said the old man sarcastically, snatching the bill from Johnson's hand. Looking it over carefully, he folded it up neatly, stuck it in his pocket, and said, "Follow me." The old man led Johnson down an overgrown path to a shed at the back of the farmhouse. Inside, the dim glow of fluorescent tubes highlighted the dozen plywood shelves that ran along the walls. In contrast to the rest of the farm, the shed was neat, almost antiseptic in appearance. Sitting on each shelf was a glass terrarium filled with twigs and rocks. Terrarium? In the case closest to Johnson, a small garden spider was spinning a web in the corner. "That's an orb spider," said the old man. "I know," said Johnson, annoyed by the interruption. "You know spiders?" "A bit," replied Johnson. "I used to study them when I was a kid." "I'll bet you're the type that like to feed 'em, eh? Catch bugs, drop 'em in, see what happens. Fun, ain't it?" Suddenly, Johnson was uncomfortable. How did he guess my secret? He wondered. Johnson felt the warm rush of blood to his neck and ears as he started to blush. "No need to be ashamed, young fella. All kids do it. It's natural." Trying to change the topic, Johnson asked, "You been at this long?" "Oh, you been at this long? Keeping spiders?" "Yeah, I've been at it a while. Most folks are scared of spiders. Not me. Me and spiders get along real good." Johnson turned back to watch a large black spider in another case sucking up the half-digested slurry of its latest victim. Trying to be polite, Johnson asked, "Bet you don't get many visitors here, being so far from the highway?" "Don't need 'em," said the old man. "This is just a sideline." Pausing for effect, he added, "I breed 'em." Johnson looked puzzled. "For the college," explained the old man. "They use 'em for research." "Does it pay well?" "Good enough. They don't know squat about spiders," said the old man, spitting on the floor. Johnson looked down and saw that a streak of the sticky black tobacco had splashed on his shoes. "I've been doing research of my own," said the old man proudly. "Spiders are just like any other critter. Cows, horses, dogs, they're all the same. Breed the best with the best, and you get the best." Or the old man's voice trailed off as he started to laugh. There was something about his tone that made Johnson uneasy. "You want to see my prize winner?" Johnson looked around. "Oh, she ain't here. I keep her in the barn. She kind of makes these critters nervous." I can't say I blames him. Want to see her? The way the old man said it, the question sounded more like a challenge. Johnson hesitated. He wanted to say no, but he could not let the old man see he was afraid. Sure, answered Johnson. What could it be? He asked himself. A tarantula? With the old man in front, they went down a lesser-used path to a small barn behind a stand of trees that made it invisible from the farmhouse. A shiny new lock on a rusted hasp yielded to the old man's key. I don't like kids messing with my stuff. The ancient wooden door swung open. Inside it was pitch black. Johnson hesitated. What was it that made him apprehensive? His mouth felt dry, and he tried to swallow. Go on in, taunted the old man as he shoved Johnson through the door. Stumbling on the raised sill, Johnson fell to one knee, ripping his pants. Damn it, he cursed. There's a light switch ahead of you, the old man reassured him. Just pull the string. The stench of moldy hay made Johnson gag. Where is it? The spider, he called out. She's in the back. Can't miss her. Where's the light? Right in front of you. Can't you see it? Mocked the old man. Johnson stretched out his hand. At first, he couldn't feel anything. Then, slowly groping the air in, he caught hold of it. Johnson's heart leapt in relief, but there was something strange. The line didn't feel like a string. It was sticky, like a... Pulling the line, Johnson knew he had made a mistake. Something rustled in the rafters above him, and bits of straw floated down. Johnson bolted for the opening. Enjoy yourself, cackled the old man as he slammed the door and locked it. Let me out! Let me out! Shouted Johnson, pounding on the door. Let me out, you old buzzard! But it was no use. The dried-out wooden door was like iron. Pausing to catch his breath, his fists throbbing, Johnson looked around. Slowly, his eyes grew accustomed to the dark. What appeared to be a black chasm was, in fact, the side entrance to the barn. There must be another way out, he thought. But where? In the gloom, he could see that beyond the entryway there was a large open space, and beyond that a boarded-up window through which thin shafts of sunlight streamed. Great! All I have to do is cross the barn, pull off one or two of those boards, and climb out, thought Johnson. Then I'll show that old man. $50? He'll wish I'd never stopped. Then he heard another rustle overhead, and more straw floated down. Who is it? Who's there? He called out. I bet it's that old man, thought Johnson. He thinks he's going to scare me. Sure, you just keep that up, old man, Johnson called out again. Let's see how much laughing you do when I bash your face in. But first, I got to get to that window. Be careful, he cautioned himself. This barn must be full of junk. I don't want to fall down and get hurt. Despite the heat in the barn, he shivered. Licking the sweat off his upper lip, Johnson slowly picked his way across the wide wooden planked barn floor, being careful not to trip. Shadows of old machinery and tools loomed around him. A leather harness that hung from the walls looked like a hangman's noose. There was a peculiar smell, too. It reminded him of a package of chicken that he once left in the trunk of his car on a hot summer day. It was the sickly sweet scent of rotting meat. Oh, gross, muttered Johnson. There's a dead animal in here. In less than a minute, he had crossed the barn and was standing in front of the boarded-up window. Blocking his exit were 3 boards nailed haphazardly into the frame. Either the old man was too weak or too lazy to drive them all the way in, concluded Johnson. I can probably pull them off with my bare hands. He smiled triumphantly. The first board was half rotted and fell apart in his hands. Light streamed in as it came away from the frame. Then he shifted his attention to the second one, the board in the middle. If he could get this one off, he could easily climb out. But this board wouldn't be so easy. It was like the old door of the barn, dried out and tough as steel. Gripping the board with both hands, he began pulling. The nails squealed in protest, and the board started to move. Only a little bit further, grunted Johnson. The thought of throttling the old man excited him. Just a bit further. Another half inch. He could almost feel his fingers closing around the old man's scrawny neck, the eyes bulging, the tongue sticking out. "Another half-inch!" Then it stopped. Desperately, Johnson yanked at the board, but it was no use. It would not yield. "I need more leverage," he said to himself. Balancing on one foot, he braced his other against the window frame and started pulling again. The muscles in his forearms and back bulged as he strained against the board. Sweat rolled down his forehead and into his eyes. "Come on," he pleaded with the wood. "Come on!" In his frustration, Johnson did not hear the soft tap. Oh. On the floor behind him. Like a blind man with his cane. Then it was too late. It struck. The force of the attack rammed his face first up against the wall, knocking the wind out of him. Warm blood trickled from his nose and ran down his cheek. What was that? Turning around slowly, he could see, in the light from the window, his attacker. It was crouched inside an empty stall along the opposite wall, the legs tensed, ready to spring. It was a spider, no doubt one of the old man's experiments. But this was no ordinary spider. It was huge, about the size of a pit bull, with legs that extended out 3 or 4 feet on either side. Its eyes stared coldly at him. Johnson did a quick tally of his injuries. Except for his bloody nose, he was unharmed. Perhaps the large size of the creature made it difficult for it to mount an attack, he conjectured. Possibly it did not even recognize him as prey. Spiders normally eat moths and insects, he reminded himself, not human beings. When he was a kid, Johnson liked to throw twigs into a web just to see the spider's reaction. Invariably, after pouncing on the object, the spider would pluck it out of the web, turn it over, and drop it on the ground. Johnson hoped this spider would show the same lack of interest. From its vantage point at the other end of the barn, the creature seemed puzzled, unsure of itself. Spiders are cautious, he told himself. It's waiting for me to make the next move. Although every fiber in his body screamed to run, his brain told him stay still. The spider was too big and too fast to outrun. I need a weapon, he told himself. Quickly looking about, he saw the rotten board from the window lying at his feet. It was only about 2 feet, with a jagged point at one end. It'll have to do. Slowly, he bent down to pick it up. The spider crouched low like a sprinter, ready to strike again. Johnson froze, his fingers only inches from the board. Easy, girl, he whispered softly. Easy. The spider relaxed, but not completely. Deliberately, it began to move forward. Johnson was amazed by the creature's grace. Like a ballerina tiptoeing in the darkened wings of a theater, it was a marvel of beauty and design. The body, covered by fine gray hair, had the look of velvet, while the 8 legs that extended from the thorax provided speed and balance. As it approached Johnson, the spider carefully extended one foreleg towards him. Johnson quickly knocked it away with his hand. The creature stopped and cocked its plate-sized head to one side. The 8 eyes looked like black fists. Then the leg came forward again. At the tip, Johnson could see the spike-like claw for catching prey. It touched his left shoulder. Through his jacket, he could feel the sharp point digging into his skin. Johnson winced and stepped back into the wall. But there was no place to go. Slowly, the other foreleg came forward. Johnson recoiled, trying to ward off the attack with his free arm, but the creature was too strong. It brushed his arm away as if it was a piece of lint and planted a second claw into his other shoulder. Johnson cried out, "Help! Help!" Then the spider reared up on its hind legs, forcing Johnson to his knees. For a moment, a brief moment, he and the creature looked into each other's eyes. It was almost like love. Then he saw the 6-inch fangs that extended from its head. Drops of venom gleamed in the half-light. He watched in fascination as the cruel daggers arched high over him. Then he screamed as they plunged deeply into his chest. Instantly, white, hot pain ripped through his body. Then it was gone. The spider had retreated back to the stall. Johnson knew that he only had a minute or two before the poison paralyzed him. "This is it," he said to himself. "My only chance." Ignoring his wounds, Johnson turned back to the window. Grabbing at the board, he yanked and pulled to no avail. Already the venom was having its effect. His hands were numb and his arms felt like lead. Gasping for air, he threw himself at the boards again and again, but it was no use. He was beaten. Great sobs shook his body as he slumped to the floor. "This can't be happening to me," he protested. "It's ridiculous." Looking back at the spider, he could see that it still had not moved. "What is she waiting for?" he wondered. "Why doesn't she finish me off?" He soon had his answer. Shimmering like a great overcoat, there was something on the spider's back. It moved and undulated like a small wave, flowing back and forth. Then a piece of the wave pulled away and dropped to the floor. It was another spider, only a lot smaller, about the size of a rat. Johnson recalled that some spiders carry their young on their backs. Horrified, he realized that he had stumbled into their nursery, and it was feeding time. Another one dropped to the floor, and then another. Soon there was a long line of spiders slowly crawling towards him. Through fading eyesight, he saw the first one reach his foot. Tentatively, its foreleg probed the air until it found his leg and patted it. It was light and delicate like the touch of a child. Johnson opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came. The last thing Johnson saw before he lost consciousness was a spider tearing a piece of flesh from the back of his hand. Back at the farmhouse, the old man picked up the whiskey bottle from the kitchen table, poured himself another drink, and plopped down on the ancient lazy-boy recliner. "How long it take, Jake?" asked the old woman. "Not long," he grunted. "They ain't et since Sunday." "Get a better sign. Attract more folks." "Nah, sign's okay. Anyway, we don't need a crowd," said the old man, taking a long, hard swallow. "What you gonna do with his car?" she asked, standing at the window, admiring the now ownerless Lexus. "I hear young Dougal needs one for running moonshine. Willing to pay a good price, too," said the old man. "Won't he ask questions?" wondered the old woman, pouring a drink and easing herself down onto a dusty couch. "Nah, he don't care," snickered the old man. "I'll talk to him tomorrow. Meanwhile, pass the remote. Let's see what's on Dr. Phil." The end. Yeah. So, spiders. Spiders it was. Oh, hell, spiders. Hello, JS. Welcome to the group. Was that a big note for you, Brianna? Not your thing, eh? I enjoyed it. I thought that it was. I thought it was good. I thought that I don't know. I had a feeling I knew what was going to happen, but it was still satisfying when it did happen. I don't know. I wanted to see him get eaten by a spider, and he did. I wonder where the author was going with Dr. Phil at the end there. I'm not sure what that was about, but I still enjoyed it. It was still good. What did you guys think? You guys, did we have people tune off because of the spiders? Yeah, we got Antonio says, nope, Citiesville. Nope. I don't know. I've never really been all that afraid. Well, actually, that's not true. So I am not afraid of like regular spiders that I'm, used to seeing, like, daddy long legs or, just regular house spiders or whatever. Spiders that creep me out, dock spiders. You ever seen those things? They are fucking huge. They're like 3 inches long sometimes. Crazy. Oh boy, it might have been an extra nod to whomever he based that character on. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's something there, like that I'm just not smart enough to notice. You like big spiders. You know who has a lot of spiders? I think he's got 10. Is James Baldwin. James Osiris Baldwin, the author of Dragonseed. He's got a bunch of tarantulas that they're all in terrariums, I guess, or in aquariums. But he's got a bunch of other pets, and I asked him once whether or not they were just like free roaming spiders like the rest of his pets are. I was happy to hear that they weren't just free roam spiders. Well, they ever am invited over to his house that I don't have to worry about tarantulas sleeping with me. They say that you swallow at least 10 spiders in your lifetime just by sleeping. I don't like that. Though I would probably eat a spider if it was prepared, like chocolate-covered crickets sort of thing. They would be terrariums. Thank you. Need a refill. Do your thing, Benzyme. Well, that is... Oh, Trey. Hello, Trey. Just finished The Wayward Bard. Awesome performance. Can't wait for the next. Thank you so much. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, The Wayward Bard was a ton of fun to narrate and produce, and making music with Michelle, the violinist, was an absolute blast. Book 2 is going to have more violin action, so get ready for that. That's going to be fun. And thank you very much for saying, Trey. Who the hell, Antonio? I bet you reading that as like an angry black guy. Who the hell would have spiders free roaming in the home? Who the hell would have spiders be free roaming in the home? What the hell's wrong with you? Demands book 2 right now. I wanted to like bang my fist into this table, but it's IKEA. It's an IKEA desk, and I feel like that's a bad idea. Book 2 is a thing. Yeah, well, it hasn't been finished yet. Lars is writing it now. Trey, if you do enjoy the whole music in an audiobook thing, I want to recommend Dragonseed. Dragonseed, written by James Osiris Baldwin, the guy I was talking about, Alchemy Online. If you haven't listened to that one yet, I did some composing for it. There's some not lit RPG, JRPG inspired music in it. Just kind of mixed throughout. So if you like that aspect of The Wayward Bard, then you'll probably enjoy Dragonseed as well. Oh, yeah, they're not just roaming. It's been, well, it came out in September. Oh, you started it a couple hours in. Fantastic. Let us know what you think. I'm excited to hear your feedback. All right. Bjorn. Brianna, are you all still here? Marvin, do we have anybody from the Invictus stream still repping? I think that's pretty much where we're going to end things for today. Just a reminder, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of tomorrow. So if you know anybody as well, if you know anybody who you think, would kind of enjoy what just happened, chilling with some cool people, listening to someone narrate some stuff, please let them know that we've got this channel. Share this with them, because I feel like I personally, I mean, it's self-interested for me because the more people I have here, the more people I have to interact with and get to know. So, yeah, if you've got any friends who you think would enjoy this, share it. Let them know. Gambit87 has listened to Dragon Seed, and it's awesome. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you dug it. Marvin Tanner's still here. Bjorn's still here. Brianna's still here. Fantastic. So that's pretty much it from me for my narrating. Now, let's talk about next time, people. I want to do this more regularly. And I want to, while I do want to narrate like lit RPG and stuff, I feel like Jeff has that covered pretty well with Sound Booth Theater lives that he runs with the requests only. Also, we have anything that we produce, we have the authors on and we read a little bit of content from their books. So I kind of want to make this, you know, Justin reading shit. Now it's Justin reads shit, not Justin reads stuff. Justin reads stuff is Invictus. Justin reads shit is Sound Booth Theater. I kind of want to make it more like it was today. Like we had a little minor theme of horror. I know some fantasy authors that have some short stories. I know some what are they called? Sci-fi authors who have some short stories like this. So I'm wondering what you guys would be interested in hearing. Are there any short stories that you know that you'd like to hear me read? Brianna was suggesting In the Vault. In the Vault? Is that what it's called? Lovecraft? I'm going to write down. I'm going to take some notes. Out of my handy dandy Sustainable Earth notepad. Okay. Let us see here. We've got... okay, yeah. What was it called again? In the Vault, okay? Story, narration, ideas. What? That's a horrible headline. Fuck. I'm going to throw out this piece of paper. I know it. In the Vault. What's his name? Lovecraft. It also doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be public domain. It can be. If you know the author, or if you, yeah, just let me know, and then I can contact the author and see whether it's cool if I narrate the stuff. I kind of want to keep it on an indie sort of bent. Like that's one reason why I feature Harlan Guthrie so much. Not only is he a fantastic author, but he's also indie. He's independent. So I kind of want to focus on that. Some Poe. A Poe. Sound Booth Theater people, do you guys know any short stories that you'd like to hear, or some Star Wars? That might be difficult. I wonder though if there's any like fan fiction, some Star Wars fan fiction that I could get a hold of. Oh, you know what I'd love to do? Narrate like Dungeons and Dragons fiction, like fan fiction. Dungeons and Dragons short fiction, Call of Cthulhu fan fiction, Pathfinder fan fiction. I messaged Pathfinder. They've got a bunch of great short stories that I asked if I could narrate, and they were like, no. And I was like, okay. So they didn't have the rights for them. Oberon's Meaty Mysteries. Write this shit down. Thank you, Gambit. Oberon's Meaty Mysteries. Justin reads erotic fanfic. I will read erotic fanfic. I'll do it. You know what? There was a time before pre-Cherry Blossom Girls days where I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to read any erotica stuff. But then I narrated Cherry Blossom Girls and I'm like, fuck it. Fuck it. I'm an adult. We're all adults here, you know? Sherlock Holmes. Any short story fan fiction? Yeah, actually, tell you what, I'm going to be on the hunt for fan fiction. If you guys find some good, like, or it doesn't even have to be, well, it can be good. It can be not good too. Sometimes that's fun. If you guys find some fan fiction that you're like, hey, like Justin, this is D&D fan fiction, like you should check this out. Please let me know. Leave a comment in the Sound Booth chat on Facebook, Sound Booth Theater, and let me know that there's that, or on Invictus. Maybe I will start a thread on both and just say like, hey, looking for independent author short stories and fan fiction. What do you got? There's also stuff like that's on Royal Road. The only thing with Royal Road is it's not really short stories. It's more novel sort of things. We got some Sherlock Holmes. Actually, that would be fun. It'd be fun to have, like, we should do a mystery night where I'll read like a little mystery and then we'll have time to, and like, I won't read the very end. I won't read where he's like, this is what happened, Watson. I will read it and then see if we can solve it. And then I'll read the conclusion. I'm sure there are some mysteries that kind of fill that form. Probably have a lot of peeps in the Invictus group that would want you to read their stories. 100%. Yes. Invictus people. Well, I read one of Brianna's short stories, which was really cool. I'm blanking on the name. Brianna refreshed me, but it was a boy traveling through all of the pantheons, like a version of the afterlife. And so you've got him going through, I know that there was one with like the Egyptian sort of style of gods, and then there's, you know, one with heaven, and there's the what's it called, the Norse mythology of the great city. Reincarnation believes in me. It was a cool story. So yeah, if you guys have any fan fiction that you'd like me to read, or short stories that you've written yourselves, let me know. And you can either shoot me a message on Facebook, or you can join one of the groups and let me know in a comment there. Just leave it on the wall, and it's a good way to find it, and you might get some more readership that way. I have a short story that I want to be reading, and I might actually do that time when I narrate that. I might actually record myself narrating it, and because I might be able to create a production out of it. There is an author named, I almost said the wrong name, Darren Hanshaw, who wrote a book called The Engineer. And he's got a short story. The Chronicles of Actaeon is the kind of saga, and there's a short story that follows this Actaeon character. And it's really, really cool. So I'm going to see if I can read his short story on there for you. It'll be like his stories reminded me, there's a game, Invictus people know it, there's a game called Numenera that is fantasy, but it has a sci-fi twist where you've got, like, it's thousands upon thousands of years in the future, and ages of humans have come and gone, and different technology has arisen over the years and then become forgotten. And then these old technologies are so, like, they're so removed from the current day population that they almost seem like magic. Like, imagine, you know, being like in the Neanderthal age and finding a smartphone, and it like turns on and shit, and you're like, what the fuck is this? It would feel like magic, right? That's kind of the idea. Valhalla, yes, thank you, Brianna. It's Valhalla in the book. Yeah, I really liked the story. I'd like to read more of your stuff. Do you have anything else that you've written, Brianna? Is anybody here an author? Do we have any writers in this group? Right as in as group. Oh, why am I wearing this sweater? What am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Greetings! Really enjoyed your session. Just tuned in first time today and randomly browsing YouTube. I think it would be great to listen to you read Clark Ashton Smith's The Abominations of Yondo. Sick! Thank you very much, Upward Spiral. Welcome to the channel. That's amazing that you just stumbled upon us. Clark Ashton Smith's The Abominations of Yondo. Abominations of Yondo. I have never heard of that. That sounds intriguing. Adam, you are working on the fancy book? The fancy book? I picture, oh, what's his name? Flula saying that. I'm working on the fancy book. It is a book that you read whenever you're going out on a date or to the clubs and you want to look maybe a little bit fancy and cute and sparkly. And so I work on the fancy book. That was not a Flula accent at all. That was all over the place. Got a little bit of Latin American in there, a little bit of German, a little bit of French, I think. Hello, Chris Godzo. How you doing? We're talking about short stories, fan fiction, independent authors that you'd like to hear on the stream, not necessarily lit RPG focused. Trying to broaden our horizons with this show that I would like to do more of on the Invictus stream. So, Chris, if you know any short stories that you'd like to hear, public domain or not, let me know. I'm going to look up this Abominations of Yondo. Clark Ashton Smith. Let's see. Let us see here. Clark Ashton Smith. Abominations of Yondo. Oh, okay. So it is a collection of fantasy, horror, and science fiction short stories by American writer Clark Ashton Smith. It was released in 1960 and was the author's fourth collection of stories. Okay. So I'm going to have to... I already see there are some narrations on YouTube. So let us see who these are done by. Oh, that's why it's so quiet. Cool. I'm really looking forward to saying this. Yeah, they've got ghastly tales. I love these fantasy horror stories. Beautiful. Yeah, okay. I will see how that would look, whether or not I'd have to get... I'd probably have to get permissions. Streaming hard, bro. Streaming hard. Yeah, so Jeff, how would that look? I want to 992. Beauty. 8 more. I really want to find okay, how would I go about if I wanted to narrate The Abominations of Yondo by Clark Ashton Smith, an author from the 1960s. I'm not sure if Clark is still alive. I would have to track down who owns the rights to that. How particular are we about making sure that we've got the rights? Maybe we'll have to talk about that separately. I feel we can do that off air. So then we can just say whatever we want. Oh, yeah, we got the rights. We can come up with our own story if we want to. Because that's might be how we make it work. I don't know. You have a short story that you are free to read on RR if I want. It's 11,000 words, but you're welcome to read it if you need something to fill a gap sometime. Definitely, please. How can I find it on Royal Road? What is your what is your thing? Ask forgiveness, not permission. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. Worst comes to worst, they'll say like, "Hey, stop that. Take that video down. We'll take it down." But in the meantime, you guys will have heard a sick story, and you won't have paid a dime. Yeah, no. I think you're right, Jeff. Short Conan stories could be fun. Do you know any short Conan stories? I'm definitely gonna have to leave a comment in the chats, or not in the chats. What am I talking about? Who am I? Why am I here right now? It's 9:55 and I'm hot. I'm getting delirious from the heat. I gotta turn down the heat in this room or open a window. I've got to create a thread on the Facebook pages. What else do we have? Yeah, Chris Godzo. Godzoe. I'm going to write down that guy's name, which is Bonkara-bonkara-boo, bubba-da-bubba-da-bup. Darren Henshaw. Damn it, Crom! Oh, Keon. Your username is Low Rent Chef. The title of the story is The Worlds We Leave Behind. That sounds fantastic. The worlds we leave behind. Beautiful. Sounds great. I'll check it out. Is it a Conan shirt or a Conan shirt? Does it say I'm with Coco on it? I'm Conan. I'm Conan the Barbarian. Something about watching your victims, something eyes, see the feet, the people beneath you. What is that quote? I have the rhythm of it in my head, but I don't have any of the words. What is best in life? That's the one. What is best in life? Quote. Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women. Crush your enemies. See them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation. The Garden of Fear by Robert E. Howard is amazing Conan-style barbarian fantasy short story. Amazing! This sounds great. The Garden of Fear. Robert Howard. Yeah, so Jeff, it's really cool. Upward Spiral here stumbled upon us, was just browsing YouTube and stumbled upon us and thought they would just chill and hang out. So great to have you, Upward Spiral. Antonio, yeah, we're pretty much finished. So thank you very much for coming, Antonio, and we'll see you again soon. Yeah, so I've got a lot here. I've got In the Vault by Lovecraft, got some Edgar Allan Poe, Oberon's Meaty Mysteries. Can't remember who suggested that, but I'm going to scroll up and find that again. Oberon's Mighty Mysteries. Oh, A Boy and His Dog. I missed that one. His dog. Erotic fanfic. I do that already. If you ever want to hear me read erotic fanfic, join us for either one of the Cherry Blossom Girls or Supers live streams. In fact, you can probably find them, Brianna or Bjorn, if you actually want to hear those. You can find the live streams where myself, Jeff Hayes, Lori, Catherine Winkle, and Annie Ellicott get together with Justin Sloan, the author, or Jamie Hawk is his author name. And we just, it's quite raunchy. So it's fun, though. It is fun. Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, I think I've got a good list here to start off with, and we'll work on getting some themed narrating nights going. And Unforgiven Sins is here. Welcome. You're just in time for the sign-off. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining, everybody. We got in this time, what did we get? Like 5 new subscribers, 6 new subscribers, something like that. Got lots of likes on the video, got lots of people joining and talking and enjoying themselves, hopefully. So thank you very much. Thank you for being a part of this and hanging out. I'll keep you guys posted on the various streams, on the Invictus stream and on Sound Booth Theater Facebook group when I'll be doing this again. In the meantime, I'm sure Jeff Hayes will be doing some more Sound Booth Theater, so stay tuned for those in the coming weeks. And Happy New Year, everybody. Going into 2019. Feel free to let us know if you have any resolutions or anything that you're looking forward to in the new year. There is a thread floating around both Invictus and Sound Booth Theater. So leave a comment on those. Let us know what you're up to and excited for, and maybe we can be a part of that. So that's it from me. I don't have anything else that I want to say today or read today. So yeah. Oh, there we go. So thank you very much, everybody. I was just reading a comment. And until next time, insert clever sign off here. Have a good night and Happy New Year. Ciao.